the plane door gets opened, and then suddenly his face is being smushed. Okay, let's slow this down because there are some things that I think are being missed by the public.
Candace Owens breaks down a viral video showing what looked like a physical altercation between French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife, Brigitte Macron. And let's be real, Candace Owens didn't hold back. She called out the media cover-up, the absurd response from the Élysée Palace, and even the bizarre claim that this was just horseplay. From start to finish, Candace Owens lays out exactly why the public isn't buying the excuses. And honestly, she's got a point.
Where were you when Brigitte Macron publicly whooped President Macron? All right, that's going to be one of the questions that this generation is going to reflect on, a moment in time, you know? Like, where were you when Mike Tyson bit the ear off of Holyfield in that boxing match? Where were you when Michael Jackson moonwalked across the stage? Well, regarding what happened to President Macron, I know exactly where I was. I had just risen from bed. I was about to nurse my young, and I opened my phone, and Xavier Poussard had sent me some messages. I mean, I was groggy, and I looked at them, and he said, this happened. Very ever factual, as he tends to be, Xavier Poussard. This is the incident that took place. Here's the link. The Élysée Palace lied about it. And when I saw the video, I instantly shoved my husband. I'm in bed. I'm like, we got to wake up. You got to wake up. You're not going to believe what's taken place. They've been caught in a tussle. And he didn't even hear me. He was kind of half asleep. And then an hour later, he said, did you wake me up to say something about Brigitte Macron? Yes, indeed I did. And I'm very quickly going to show you guys the video that has by now made its way around the world. I'm talking a global PR catastrophe for this couple. So let's very quickly watch it. If you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple, don't worry about it because we're going to do a video breakdown. But here is the clip that made its way around the world. You obviously see the plane door gets opened, and then suddenly his face is being smushed. Okay, let's slow this down because there are some things that I think are being missed by the public. First and foremost, I just want to shout out the real victim in all of this, okay? Let's just watch the beginning of this clip. The pilot that comes out and opens the door. He is the unsung victim in this because he is going to be so fired. I mean, just the wrong timing there. I just imagine that when he gets back and this trip is over, for no reason at all, Brigitte is going to lose it because Brigitte is a maniac behind the scenes. These are the facts. I am telling you, Brigitte is losing his mind. I know this to be an absolute fact. I'll tell you more about that later. But then what we see here, and this is what people need to get right because what was being reported as a slap or a smack is actually incorrect. This was a double-handed shove to Macron's face. We're going to slow that down so you can see it. Take a look at this. That is two arms. You see that frozen? Two arms in the shot. You can see Brigitte's left arm and right arm right on his face. And when you get closer to it, you can even see that Brigitte is wearing some sort of a watch or a piece of jewelry. And I just went, okay, that's just like dudes beginning to fight because a couple of things there. Listen, I went to public school, saw a lot of these fights. When a woman is hitting a man, it's usually one hand, a smack, because a woman's not really fearful in most circumstances that the guy's going to hit her back. It's just like a little whack across the face. And, you know, maybe it's a mom to her son, smack, and then it's kind of over because she's just being over emotional and hitting him. When men fight, there tends to be an aggressive shove that happens first, right? Shove to the face like that just to be super disrespectful. And that's exactly what happened here, okay? I am telling you, Brigitte was in some form, was very clearly irate, and gave him the full shove. Now, what we're going to slow down now, right now is Macron's reaction to this, because I think it should be studied in colleges and universities across the world because it's giving fight or flight, the fight or flight response that we have as humans, a new meaning. I mean, this could be called fight on flight response. And it's incredible to actually think about the physiological changes that must be going through Emmanuel Macron's body and mind during this moment, okay? At first, he gets double shoved. You're going to have that human response. Like, am I going to fight this person? Am I going to fight this grown man? He perceives this physical threat. And before he can even process that, he then perceives the bigger threat, which is the media, the cameras that are flashing outside. Could you imagine his heart rate in this moment? Look at him. Look at his face. Genuinely, he looks like he pooped his pants.
I mean, come on. Candace Owens is just pointing out what everyone else is thinking. Emmanuel Macron legit looked terrified, and she compared it to the Cowardly Lion from The Wizard of Oz. And yeah, she's not wrong. That face said it all.
That's the only way I can describe his face for listening to the podcast. He looks like a toddler did an uh-oh in a very public space, maybe at Six Flags, Disney World, and realizes things have gone terribly wrong, okay? And I recognize this face. You recognize this face. I'll say it. This is very clearly the face from the Cowardly Lion, The Wizard of Oz, when he gets smacked right across the face from Dorothy because he's acting all tough, but then he scoops up Toto. Let's just run the clip to jog your memory here.
Shame on you!
What did you do that for?
That's the exact same face Emmanuel Macron is making there, okay? And then what happens next, and this next portion is what makes the Élysée Palace response to it the most absurd response I've ever heard. Brigitte is very clearly not able to pull it together. Brigitte is angry. Brigitte is big mad. They now got to pull it together. Pilot, so fired, opened the door unexpectedly. And Macron, ever the actor, we told you how they got together. Oh, yes, he was so amazing on stage. Oh, I just couldn't resist this little boy. Ugh. Disgusting. But ever the actor, Macron pulls it together pretty quickly. And he's like, I just got to pull it together in front of the cameras. I've been doing this since I was a little boy. And you see right there, he puts out his arm. And Brigitte refuses it. Okay? Brigitte refuses it. Brigitte's like, nope, cannot pull it together. I'm still big mad. Okay? And I just want to say, by the way, is it me or is Brigitte looking more and more manly every time we see him? It's just incredible. I feel like ever since I've done the series, I mean, the wig is just so bad, but I don't want to get lost on that, okay? Let's stay focused here. This last portion is amazing because I feel that it's Macron, once they fully descended down the steps and you pay attention, I feel Macron is practicing whatever it is that he learned in anger management because his fist, look at that fist, the left fist, he's just, trying to hold everything in. An anger management technique, just bulk up your fist, hold it all together. And we know that fist, obviously, that's the Arthur fist. We've all seen it. He punched DW. That's his fist, a meme that's now gone viral. And that's what Emmanuel Macron is doing right there. Just trying to manage his anger and obviously having recognized that this has been captured, okay? Now, as if this couldn't be the most crazy thing that's happened in a very long time, and it's not, by the way, in a long line of things that happened in this relationship, it's not even close to the craziest thing that's happened. But what was then so stunning was we're watching a sitting president of the Western world, right, get pummeled by his husband. Then the Élysée Palace just moves to completely lie about the thing that we just watched. Their reaction to this was essentially a lie that was so bad that not even the mainstream media fully bit on it, right? They kind of, some of them tried to, other ones are just outright mocking them. I'll show you both of those reactions. But what happened at first, I kid you not, when a journalist contacted the Élysée Palace, and I'm assuming at this point they had not seen the footage, the Élysée Palace responded, and they said, of all things, that it was Russia's fault. They just went ahead and blamed Russia right off the top. That seems to be a thing that everybody does. Russia. Russia's bad all the time. Putin. Stay focused on Putin. I kid you not, the official statement from the Élysée Palace was, quote, "These are images generated by artificial intelligence being boosted by Russians." It's amazing. That is amazing. I have to imagine somewhere in the world, Putin is laughing. He just is like, what are we doing now? Why would we spend our time doing that? For what reason would we pretend that, why would we generate an image of Brigitte Macron pushing the face, shoving the face of Emmanuel Macron in our spare time? Like we don't have enough going on. And the journalist who's on the phone with the Élysée Palace immediately calls them out on their BS. He says, "You are lying, because these images were just captured from the Associated Press." And at that moment, they realized they had made a massive blunder, okay? Oh my gosh, so this is the Élysée Palace is their White House. They've realized we've made a big mistake. they completely backtrack and immediately get to work changing their story. And then came a statement from Macron's office. Macron's office said this, quote, "It was a moment where the president and his wife were decompressing one last time before the start of the trip by horsing around. It's a moment of complicity. It was all that was needed to give ammunition to the conspiracy theorists." There is just so much happening in that statement. Genuinely, I feel limited here. I don't have the vocabulary that is extensive enough to underscore how disastrously stupid this response is. I'm left wondering whether or not they hired Blake and Ryan's PR team, if they went out and said, wow, that was so bad. Are you guys available to do some of our PR? First off, where do we begin with that statement? Let's begin by defining what a moment of complicity is. What is that? They were complicit with one another, that they would engage in this beating. What does that actually mean? And what exactly are they decompressing from? Okay, so they were just on this very long flight from Paris all the way to Hanoi, one pit stop in between. They're on this long flight, and you're going to tell me they decided at the end of it to horse around? I want to be clear. Let me make something very clear to you. I've been on a private plane before. And what happens when that flight ends is the exact same thing that happens when a public flight ends. You are required to put on your seatbelt, be seated because the plane is coming in for landing. You are not allowed to take that seatbelt off until the plane has finished taxiing. So what they want us to believe is after a very long flight, and Mark, you're going to have to remind me, how many hours is the flight from Paris to Hanoi? You could tell me this in my ear.
It was a 12-hour flight. And they took a 3-hour stop in Abu Dhabi.
Okay, great. So a 12-hour flight with a strange 3-hour flight in Abu Dhabi. And you're telling me that after that very long flight for a half day, the plane lands, it stops taxiing, you take your seatbelt off, and you took a look at your senior citizen wife, husband, and said, hey, let's just, horse around. Let's get up here and just horse around. What? Nobody does this, okay? This is not normal. You're not going to try to normalize beating a senior citizen up because you need to decompress. What did you do? What are you saying? It's just the most foolish response that you could possibly issue after all of this.
I mean, Candace Owens just nailed it. Like, how are they seriously trying to say we were just horsing around after a 12-hour flight? No one does that. It's not decompressing. It's just damage control. And Candace Owens calling out that nonsense was honestly needed.
And then at the end, to call everyone who saw things with their own eyes conspiracy theorists. Like, this happened, we were horsing, or this is how we decompress. Like, they're vacuum sealed. And I know it's a pressurized cabin. These two were not vacuum sealed. They did not need to decompress in this manner. And no couple does this. I want to be very clear. There's no couple that after a long flight, you want to stretch your legs after a long flight. You don't want to shove the face of your spouse. You shouldn't want to shove the face of your spouse after a long flight unless they did something crazy, something that made you very upset, something that angered you. And Brigitte, as I know, until you take it to the bank, Brigitte is very angry at this period in time. So they decided to just call us all conspiracy theorists, tell us not to believe our own eyes. Macron then doubles down on this quote unquote conspiracy and the conspiracy theorists out there that are making his life very hard, because he's then asked about the incident on camera. And here is how he tries to explain things to a newscaster. Take a listen.
The president dismissed concerns later on when asked, saying the pair was just joking about.
Nous sommes en train de nous chamailler. Et plutôt de plaisanter avec mon épouse.
We were squabbling and I was joking with my wife, and I'm surprised by it. And it becomes some sort of geoplanetary catastrophe.
Catastrophe géoplanétaire, donc faut que tout le monde se calme.
Everybody needs to calm down and should really focus on actual news.
Yep, you got to respect that. You have to respect his ability to just continue to lie in the face of overwhelming evidence. Somebody call Jordan Peterson. I think I found the psychopath he's looking for. I mean, you're just going to try to sell to the public that you guys were just joking around. completely joking around, and that your face, when you look, you were going to poop your pants, was totally normal stuff. You were just surprised that people were watching you joke around, and people need to stay focused on real news.
So yeah, after watching this entire thing go down, Candace Owens just proved once again why she's not afraid to speak truth to power. Emmanuel Macron got publicly humiliated by his wife. The Élysée Palace tried and failed to cover it up, and the excuses just kept getting dumber. But Candace Owens saw through all of it and broke it down in a way only she can. Call it what it is. Candace Owens won this round, no question.